Mr. Cain, Steve Futterman with CBS News. I'd like to ask you a two-part question. First of all, do you think it is appropriate for a candidate's character to come under a microscope in a campaign? And secondly, you are basically now in a he said, she said situation. She's saying something, you're saying something. They're both diametrically opposing each other. As distasteful as it might be, would you be willing to do a lie detector test to prove your honesty in something like this?
Yes.
I'm sure. Go ahead.
Yes, I absolutely would. But I'm not going to do that unless I have a good reason to do that. That was one of the first comments that I made in watching this to my staff. I've also shared that with my attorney. Of course, I would be willing to do a lie detector test. Secondly, I believe that the character and integrity of a candidate running for president should come under a microscope with facts, not accusations.
Tim Gaynor, Reuters News Agency. Mr. Cain, an Ipsos Reuters poll released this afternoon showed that 40% of Republican voters view you less favourably after seeing Monday's accusations from Sharon Bialek. Given that reaction, how can you convince non-supporters to vote for you?
Well, first of all, you don't need 100% of the voters, you need 51%. It is natural that some voters will be turned off by the mere mention of the accusations. That's normal and that's expected. And all you have to do is to look at campaigns historically, and you are able to identify those situations where some members of the public, some of the voting electorate, are going to be influenced by the court of public opinion in formulating their impression. But the good news for me in my campaign is that most of my supporters have not reacted to this in terms of belief. Many of them have expressed their outpouring support for the fact that these incidents simply did not happen. So rebuilding the trust on the part of some people, yes, that would be a challenge. But I want to continue to represent those that have chosen to support me and those that are willing to look at the facts and not hearsay.
Hi, Mr. Cain. It's Robin Abkarian from the LA Times. Yesterday, you called these charges insignificant stuff. I think everyone who's ever worked in a restaurant environment knows that sexual harassment can be very commonplace. My question to you is, do you believe sexual harassment is real? Have you ever seen it? What did you see? And how did you deal with it?
Let me reiterate that sexual harassment is a very serious charge. In no way have I tried to minimize sexual harassment in the workplace. Having led many organizations, yes, I have seen instances where it could be interpreted as sexual harassment, and if I saw it, and if it were an employee or a direct report of mine, I dealt with it immediately before the other person perceived it as an infringement of their privacy. And I might add, it's not just men who potentially sexually harass women. I've also seen situations where women have attempted to sexually harass men. It's very serious. And I have made sure that that wasn't something that was tolerated in any organization that I was responsible for.
Jonathan Carl with ABC News.
Yes.
Mr. Cain, now another woman, one of the formerly anonymous women, has come forward who worked with you at the Restaurant Association, Karen Krassauer. She's now a spokesperson of the Treasury Department, has come forward publicly. What do you say to her are her allegations? This is somebody who's still working in the U.S. government. Are her allegations not true? Is she lying about them?
Well, to the best of my recollection, since you mentioned that particular name, that is the one that I recall that filed the complaint, but it was found to be baseless. Let's separate something. The accusations were made of sexual harassment. They were found baseless. There was no legal settlement. There was an agreement between that lady and the National Restaurant Association, and it was treated as a personnel matter because there was no basis to her accusations. Those are the facts. When she made her accusations, they were found to be baseless, and she could not find anyone to corroborate her story. The Restaurant Association handled it. They went through a process to get to the point where it ended up being an agreement, not a settlement. Now, let me clarify that little point. I've been criticized by some members of the media that I have changed my story. When the firestorm started a week ago Monday, I was presented with the accusation of some settlement was made. Settlement to me means that there were legal implications. Later during that same day, I then recall, after all those years, that there was an agreement. That's what businesses sign with employees who are departing the company. They call it an agreement. Settlement implies legal implications. All of the potential legal implications or ramifications or accusations were found to be baseless.
The Wall Street Journal. Still, Mr. Cain, there are now a total of 4 women who have accused you of some form of sexual harassment. How do you explain that? Are they making it up? But is that plausible? Can you explain where you think this is coming from? Thank you.
Well, I happen to think where it's coming from is that some people don't want to see Herman Cain get the Republican nomination, and some people don't want Herman Cain to become President of the United States of America. As you know, when you run for the highest office in the land, there are going to be some accusations that are going to come out of the woodwork. They're going to come from anywhere. And I have said this before. There will probably be others, not because I am aware of any, but because the machine to keep a businessman out of the White House is going to be relentless. And if they continue to come, I will continue to respond. I can't answer why the ones that have already made these one anonymous accusations and one that was, put their face on TV, started a media campaign to basically try and slander my integrity and my character. I can't tell you what their motivation is other than is to stop Herman Cain. I believe that the American people are saying that they're not going to let that happen.
Steve Kraft, Fox 10 News here in Phoenix. Mitt Romney has been quoted as saying he finds these accusations to be disturbing. Can you react to that observation by Mr. Romney and tell us what you think is behind it or what it means?
Sure. Sexual harassment is a very serious matter, as I've said. I find the accusations disturbing, but false. I don't believe Governor Romney was saying that he thought I was guilty of any of these accusations. But yes, they're disturbing because they distract me from taking our message to the American people, talking about solutions. They distract from the whole Republican primary process. So he's right. But I don't think he was saying that I was disturbing because I've been accused. I believe what he was saying because I know Mitt Romney and his integrity, that he was referring to the fact that it's disturbing that these accusations that are not factually based are disturbing to this process.
Mr. Cain, Lee Ross with Fox News. You made several mentions of machine, the Democratic machine. Who are these?